And welcome everybody back to more Super Mario Odyssey 80% action here at the Global Speedrun Association Leagues. And today we have Chaospringle versus Fur underscore, the one and only. Actually, recently, this is actually a battle between world record holders, if you believe it or not, because Chaos currently obviously world record holder in the 1.0 version, Fur world record holder in the current version 1.2, recently got a 1.0 101.30, I think, which is actually really good for a run in that category. So absolutely great time. And I'm actually joined by a grassroots commentator of the scene, Nerf, making a return back to some commentary. What's up, Nerf? How do you feel?
Hey, what's going on? I'm super excited to be back here doing some commentary. Definitely going to show off what I don't know in 2019, but that's exciting, right? Gives you something to talk about. Teach me some things, Lynn.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have the chance to show you some new stuff here that has recently been added to the run. But there's, I guess, the baseline still stands. There's nothing super major. We don't like skip kingdoms or anything.
What do you mean?
Sad. It's sad, but Nintendo definitely did a good job to prevent us from any of those ideas. Even though currently the Discovery Kitchen has been cooking, and there's some interesting stuff that gets found daily at the moment. So you shouldn't make any.
What are we cooking up?
Exactly, you shouldn't make any like statements. You will never be able to do it, and then suddenly tomorrow we skip like half the game. But for now, we are starting off in Cap, and Cap hasn't seen too many interesting changes other than being even faster and people being even better at the movement here. There's some crazy stuff that's being like cooked up here in this frog room. Actually, people have been thinking about actually skipping the first frog. We won't see that at all though in these kind of races because it's incredibly close and in one player might not even really save time. But
okay. So already I can tell you a few things I'm seeing that just look a lot more optimized is camera. I've already seen a couple of camera movements that I'm not used to seeing, especially like on that first frog capture there. And it looked like they brought up the first person camera on the first switch.
So yeah, that's actually also something that changed over time. Both of them will get left side here. Awesome. First person being used way more. It's mainly used for actually cutting down some time on the camera panning in certain cutscenes. When you talk to people, or especially when you hit that switch, the camera is kind of panning to a specific position. But if you actually go into first person as this cutscene gets triggered, it kind of insta
pushes it along
to that position. Exactly. So you don't have to wait for like the camera to pan.
Awesome. Well, yeah, other than that, it looks pretty standard. I'm sure left side is something people do with their eyes closed these days. Are people doing this game blindfolded yet? Where are we at on that?
Actually, I think it has been done. Pretty sure Smallland actually has completed this game blindfolded. Some pretty crazy stuff. Also, shoutouts to Awesome Dan here for supporting the channel with a hot subscription. But currently, we are looking at a small lead here from Chaos, a little bit of cleaner execution in Cap Kingdom. And I'm pretty sure that we are also going to be seeing two first moon skips here. No way that Fur will play on his current version 1.2, which once again he was able to recently get the world record on that. Chaos will be able to actually skip the wall jump here on first moon skip, but Fur not able to do so. And this is how first moon skip is done nowadays. Obviously, just using the quick dip there into the water and then climb up this little hole in the invisible wall.
And like you said, maybe a little bit more custom with 1.2, not as
yeah, true. That's actually a good call, especially for that one. And he has been vocal about. Ooh, that's a really rough mistake at the very start.
Probably actually pretty common for somebody like Fur.
Yeah, for sure. So Fur not actually making it to the loading zone up top there. It's usually optimal to skip a cap dive. Fur was going for it again there. Most of the times you would be just safer throwing Cappy and then dive towards it. The travel distance would slow down a little bit due to that cap throw, but he wanted to be optimal, didn't quite gauge the distance correctly, and ended up bonking and falling. So obviously, pretty rough mistake for the very start here. Chaos is going to be happy about that as he grabs that multi-boon very quickly, has been on a good run so far, everything kind of worked for him. And Fur actually using these neat down throws there at the end to capture the change from Fur is in fact a Joy-Con player. So he's able to use these to his advantage.
Have we figured out the time saves and time losses from controllers.
from
Yeah.
Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
I mean, people have still been discussing about like load issues. Loads is something
Yeah.
that hasn't been figured out in this game at all. But most of the time, you could say that technically Joy-Con is the optimal controller. There's a couple threads now that we definitely know Joy-Con save time, and maybe over the course of the run, you would be able to save like optimally 4 or 5 seconds with downforce if you utilize them anywhere. Like where they
Gotcha.
could work and save some time, but it's still not enough to push people to do so if they are pro controller players. That controller is so much more comfortable. And there's one specific trick where actually everybody now switches to Joy-Cons for one throw. We'll get to that soon, but Chaos is able to get that moon clip here at the chest very quickly. Very good early game here from Chaos. Absolutely nice to see.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, Fur definitely taking a little bit of a hit, especially obviously at that bonk at the top of Madame Brute. But other than that, this has been looking good. Yeah, but Chaos will, it looks like, get a 5:08 exit here. Very, very good. Maybe lost like 2 seconds to the very best exits possible, but still very solid time.
Definitely dealing with high caliber players here, so any mistake is going to end up in. Sadly, those two that we saw from Fur are pretty costly. Some of the bigger mistakes that you could probably make in Cascade. You know, film the clip, you
For
just
sure.
time it normally, but bonking on first moon, that's rough.
It's still going to be better, I guess, in the great scheme of things. Back in the day when we had to use the first moon skip on that rock,
Oh my goodness.
that was way rougher, and mistakes would probably lose you even more, and then you are not even guaranteed to get it again. So he's still going to be happy that he's out of here, and it's not like the race is over yet. We've seen Chaos actually with less consistency than usual in these races. He's pretty much known to be one of the most consistent racers like we have, and also players. But in these races, he has been showing some consistency. He's failing pretty big tricks like the nut clip or snow dram even. Falling down there, losing 20 seconds, not getting the clip, losing 20 seconds. So he's definitely going to look to not make these today. And he's warmed up. He's hot. Everybody kind of is at the moment because with a pretty big new time save and CSAT, an actual glitch that we'll get to once we get there, a new improved world record is pretty much on the line right now. And it's kind of expected to come any day now. So Chaos definitely very, very warmed up, very ready to play at his best.
It was exciting when you see new developments in a route, especially something that had this many eyes on it. One thing that was always nice about SMO was the amount of eyes that we've had on this game since the start of it.
For sure.
So there's just always new stuff coming in and out.
Yeah, it's very unique for this speed game, I guess. I mean, recently, obviously, the community is still growing on a daily, but this game has just tremendous amounts of very hard-working, dedicated people that look at specific stuff for like hours, literally hours a day, and push this game to its boundaries. It's obviously a great help for the speedrun because not every glitch might necessarily be like a time save in any percent, but some of them are, and if they come, it's very exciting. Well, Chaos is actually going to make his first big mistake here, trying to go for that ice dram. Not going to be able to recapture the bullet bill here, so definitely going to be sad about this one. He initially wanted to use that ram straight on top of the ice, pushing the bullet bill to a more optimal position, going over to the pillar moon. And then after he missed it, he tried to back that up with some sort of backflip on top to up throw to the bullet bill, but wasn't able to catch it, losing even more time. So first going to use that if he gets that capture warp right here. It looks like he will. He's definitely making back up some time.
Now, what about... Obviously, we saw a little bit of movement there with Ice Dram that I'm not too familiar with, but what are we looking about for Sand? People still doing double clip, anything like that? Anything crazy these days?
Yeah, double clip at this level is probably pretty much a guarantee. We've rarely seen people even go for single clip at the very highest level anymore because they have been getting better at clipping, I guess, at this time. I think swing slipping is like more than a year old at this point in time. But we see here for Fur, not 100% consistent yet, taking one missed clip attempt. And the first clip is the one where you flat up basically just lose time if you miss a clip. I always say if you miss like the first clip on the second one and play well enough, it won't even matter because eventually the bird and the oasis will actually be closer to you. Let's see, first attempt missed here, but we'll get the second one, so I don't think this one especially will lose him any time because the bird will just be closer to him in the oasis.
Gotcha, because coming out of the Sphinx still reloads that bird.
Exactly.
Okay. So a little bit of optimization there. People don't climb up the sand fountains anymore. Gotcha, awesome.
pretty interesting movement there. You kind of jump up this block that later in the game gets actually occupied by like a cage. And this movement is really rough to do quick, but if you do it quick enough, you will end up saving some time over the fountain there. Because the fountain kind of locks you in place while only giving you height. Fur, throwing Cappy against the Jaxi there. This is not a capture though. This would have been quite unfortunate for him if it was. But gets the coins here. Both of them looking very, very rich. got a lot of coins here.
He's giving, Jaxi high five. You don't just throw out, some Cappy high fives every once in a while, then?
I mean, it's actually worth though, because Jaxi doesn't get any love. Yeah. So maybe this will bless his run. We see the bird in a very good position still for Fur.
I see notes are still a pain in the rear, huh? Has anybody figured out the perfect notes movement yet on top of those trees? I always felt like that was one thing where I'm debating between messing up my spin throw or just jumping off the tree entirely.
Yeah, we still see that a lot, but Chaos is actually able to get very nice notes there. Optimally, you want to kind of get all of them with one single spin throw. So you want to get like spin throw as you jump up and then long jump over to get all of them with this single spin throw. Chaos, I think, as far as I was able to see, was able to get that. So that's nice, but still definitely one of the rougher moons in Sand.
Trees were never fun in this game. I remember that much.
Yeah, and talking about trees, actually at this point in time, we added another tree later on in Wooded. I'm pretty sure Chaos is going to be going for that instead of the Piranha plant. Pretty small time shift that we are probably going to be seeing. But for this one, I'm now excited to see if both of them will be going for that lake clip. So for Chaos, it's pretty much guaranteed that he will clip after the second moon to be able to get that checkpoint on top of the painting. To kind of skip the boss fight here. And if you do that optimally, kind of first try, you can probably expect 5 seconds from like an extra run. Like very optimally, it's actually at a point where this saves 7 over fighting the boss, but it includes some very crazy movement. Man, so in a run, you could probably expect like 5. Yeah, it's a lot at this point. It's almost like a single swing slip again.
That's crazy. It's awesome to see that, we're still finding new things out and optimizing this game, of course. I remember when we finally figured out like how crazy spin throws were, and like we could just start shoving them everywhere, and it was
yeah, all over the place. Not true. But Chaos will get that clip here on the 3rd try, which is actually losing you more time than you might think. He's still gonna be able to clip. Will get the checkpoint here with the up throw, and will now get that chest moon and then warp back up to the painting. Seems slow, but actually still faster than the multi-moon cutscene at the end here. If Fur is able to get this one a little bit earlier, and looks like he will get Cappy to clip first try, but wasn't quite sold on a setup there. Actually taking quite a lot of time here. This one should work as long as he will be able to traverse through out of bounds here. But with the mistakes he made, is arguably to say he might not even save time with it. He might break even with a very solid execution of the, I guess, boss fight route. But Chaos, as he uses that down throw, this is specifically the moon where runners actually switch to Joy-Cons to be able to get that cheap from above, because you kind of like jump down to it. Definitely saving some time with his lake clip here.
So first, still really just paying for those mistakes in Cascade. Both of them not having the cleanest lake, but there's that Joy-Con coming in.
Yeah, Fur definitely Joy-Con player throughout. He's sold on them, and I guess he doesn't really bother with the potential uncomfortability, the like uncomfort with these controllers. I personally cannot really hold them for like longer than 30 minutes when I like want to show off something. But in a full run, or in full runs, if you do attempts throughout the day, not a big fan of Joy-Cons.
And definitely some high fatigue on those. But hey, if you've got the stamina to make it through that, more power to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, the nice thing about going back to lake clip is it's one of those things where it's really easy to tell if you don't and do have it. So obviously it's the setup that costs you the time there, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of being at the right position, being able to throw a Cappy at the exact spot. It's still possible to make mistakes afterwards, because you kind of like jump in that out of bounds section to avoid that, I guess, that hallway where the moon is in. So you would be able to technically fall back in there. You would also be able to unintentionally get a spin throw over an up throw there and not actually grabbing the checkpoint at the top, which is very frustrating, because then you basically clip for no reason and have to kind of go back to the old route and lose big amounts of time. But yeah, at this point in time, it looks like most of them are pretty consistent at it, and will at least get it at the point in time where they're not really losing any time over fighting the boss. Going into it though, we've seen pretty big pace changes even still. With Nutclip being in this run, there's pretty much never going to be a guarantee that both of them will just get everything here and nothing will change in terms of the pace.
No, I'm pretty familiar with Nutclip. That was around when I was still running, but you mentioned skipping the Piranha Plant. No, that's new. I'm excited to see what goes on there.
Yeah, kind of makes sense and kind of goes with the development of this route in general, because the initial idea here was basically to grab 2 quick moons out of bounds, but after we realized that that's a thing, we can actually move Flooded Pipe to another position, we figured out that fighting Speward is not even that fast and started doing that Speward skip, kind of jumping down after the tower, which saved like another 5 seconds.
This
After we were able to skip Speward, we realized, wow, okay, this Tree Moon is actually not too slow if you get good speed here with the uproot. Looks like Chaos was able to spawn it in decently quick. Not the best uproot boosts I've ever seen, but still gets them quickly. And it's basically gonna allow him to skip the Piranha Plant, which only really was gotten because you need it to activate the Speward fight. Fur will actually also go for the strat, spawns the uproot in very early. A little bit too early here. He will not get very much speed with that uproot, as Chaos comes through out of bounds. Lots of things happening at the same time. Very quick out of bounds movement from Chaos, but essentially they will be able to skip that Story Moon cutscene later on, allowing them to save maybe 1 to 2 seconds with very optimal movement.
You know, in the early days before we knew, I think before we even did Flooded Pipeway and stuff like that, there was an old IH Your Pie. He had a route where we got that moon with the uproot outside of there. And that's crazy to see that that's back in, because like looking back when I was running this game, I would think, no way we're getting that moon. It's way too slow. But, you know, that's speedrunning for you.
Definitely a quick moon if done optimally. Well, I guess not the very quickest one, but the Piranha Plant is just like a 20-second moon, which it seems fast because you just grab it, but then again, you fly around with Mario celebrating that he got the story progression and skipping cutscenes and all of that stuff. Well, Chaos is going to be happy about his out-of-bounds movement so far. Look pretty solid. Fur will also be able to get that. Chaos going for that hot roll cancel of the maze. Gets the checkpoint. Oh, shoutouts to Chaos right there. I'm not sure if he did that because he was recently listening to our discussion here, but that's really nice to see in a race, because it almost doesn't lose you any time to grab that checkpoint. But we've actually seen multiple times people die, not even on their way back here, or on the attempt of that flower road skip here. Chaos will go for it right now and will get it. Oh, maybe actually he might be a little bit low, will still get it. Nicely done. But if you actually die anywhere, basically after the shop, up until you enter the tower, in this route, you will basically spawn back at the shop. There's like no checkpoints to interact with. So if you grab that checkpoint along the way, you don't really lose time, but you play it way safer in a race. I really love to see that.
Ooh, an unfortunate bonk there. It looks like the net just pushed him to the right. That sucks too, because you don't really get to get the fun movement back. Oh, he makes it work.
Still enough height there. Very nice to see. Let's see if Fur gets that long jump as well. Will long jump off the rail and will at least get the triple jump off of that one.
Looks like if you get that long jump off the rail, it's a pretty good confirm.
Yeah, it's a pretty good like range. You kind of just have to tap jump 3 times. So that works out pretty nicely for them. And as long as he's going to be able to enter the tower here, he will be fine. There's no scary deaths anymore, because this basically sets a new checkpoint flag, and there's pretty much actually no real way to die in this tower, unless I guess you get damaged 3 times by an uproot. But I haven't really seen that one and not expecting it.
That would be tragic, Lynn. That would be so tragic.
Fortunate.
I can't even imagine how that would happen.
That would be quite unfortunate for sure. Well, this room probably scarier than the tower here. Flooded Pipeway is still on a pretty rough cycle. You can't really drop any inputs, because if you do, you're not only going to get damaged by these fuzzies, but you're also going to lose time off of not getting the cycle to the second moon.
Yeah, and the thing about dropping inputs in this room is that it's pretty laggy. So if you're going to drop an input somewhere, it's going to be in this room.
Especially this section here, there's like so many fuzzies on the screen, and for some reason that causes the game to easily make you drop inputs. But so far, both of them with very solid movement here for that Speward skip section. Fur will also get that nice set up camp return jump there to be able to spin throw to the nuts, and he will be happy with that. Oh, nice with the spin pound down into the water. Very hot. For showing off a little bit and playing nice. Chaos still with a pretty solid lead. No worries. We'll be able to get a 36 fade out here. Most of this caused due to his stand issues with missing the dram and then really struggling there a little bit. But other than that, this run has been very clean. 36 fade out. First gonna be warping right now. And I'm assuming he's probably gonna get like a 16, I think. Let's see.
Okay,
Yeah, it's gonna be like a 15. So looking at around 40 seconds already, which is actually pretty massive that early. And thinking that Fur didn't really make too many like super heavy mistakes, that's a good chunk of time that Chaos is currently leading by.
Yeah.
And if you are familiar with the point system here, you actually don't only get rewarded for winning in this league, you do get 40 points for a win, but there's an additional point pool of 20 points that kind of rewards runners by how well they do. So for example, if someone wins by like 3 minutes, which is the maximum, you will actually get the maximum points out of that pool, which is 19. There's always 1 point guaranteed for the loser, but the better the loser does, so for example, if he gets 10 seconds closer, for every 10 seconds that he gets closer, he gets another point out of that pool, basically, which enforces them or kind of pushes them to still try their best once they start losing time. And Fur will actually go for the cloud boost here. Very scary spread, but he's pretty much known to be the only one that goes. That will kind of save it, not getting the boost, but still good movement to the fight.
Now, Bowser's or Cloud Kingdom is one of those things that doesn't look like it's changed since I've seen it, but I remember just, through the development of this speed run, we've seen so many crazy things. I remember when we used to, stand in the middle and actually hit the hat with our hat.
Oh yeah, I actually
savages.
I actually probably watched runs at that time. That was good times. And then I randomly tuned into like a Shaden stream, and I thought he was cheating or something, like grabbing these heads like first when we doing it right here.
He's got to be on a different patch, right? I can't do that on my game. But Lost Kingdom, extremely scary, but I think one of the most fun kingdoms to do quickly. Just because if anybody's done this route or done any percent for SMO before, you get so many moons like back to back to back. Like, what's the average time in between moons and Lost? Has anybody ever counted that? It's got to be like 3 seconds. So.
Probably not exactly yet, but if we factor in like moon cutscenes, it's probably going to be like 7, which is still amazing. Theoretically, right now we're at a point where the best movement would cause you to spend more times in moon cutscenes than actually moving.
Wow.
So,
okay.
That kind of goes to show you how crazy it is. So I will make the jump there. Actually, pretty weird angle on his cap return jump on that meme. She will be able to get over, which is the important part here. But Chaos' loss has been looking good. Is now looking to get that block to break without taking any damage here. Will do so. And then it's pretty much only that last section, which is arguably the hardest at the end of Lost here, where you have to get that cage without control over Cappy, and then also get the bridge moon and save yourself to get back up.
All right, lands on it. I think that's always the scariest part. As soon as you land, you're good. But
for now, it's pretty much that dive into the moon. We'll get that. If he's able to stay alive, that loss was pretty optimal. Yeah, gonna be happy about this one for sure. Oh yeah, that's a nice angle too. That was a very clean loss from Chaos. Ooh, even that spin for
didn't even see him hit the globe.
True.
Have we determined hardest globe yet? Me and Lim always had this thing. What globe cost us the most time?
Dude, I think the globe meta is evolving.
Has it?
Because runners have actually been getting good at these crazy like spin throw roll cancel, but you kind of roll towards the globe and then spin throw to cancel the roll, keeping your momentum, making some globes easier. But in my opinion, I always remember Ruined Globe to be the hardest one. Recently, I haven't really been struggling with globes too much anymore. But I'd say probably Ruined. So the difficulty, for example, for the lake globe and the wooded globe is kind of lower now, because runners warp there now. They don't actually go through the cutscene, so it's actually easier now. The tier list changes because of that. So Ruined is probably at the top, in my opinion.
The meta evolving. Now we're off to one of the most vertical kingdoms in the game. I can't imagine there's been much change in Dark Metro. Since we don't really do much in it other than just climb.
Yeah.
But
it's pretty much just cutting down the corners a little bit better, moving faster. For example, like little stuff, like you saw Chaos do 2 rolls there at the top of the roof. This is something that he might be doing over like a run that has like a 103 that still goes for that Goomba jump, but these tiny things is what you can change. But this city hall actually does have a pretty new strat. I doubt Chaos will go for it, he will not. It's actually possible to do some pretty scary movement to go to the elevator immediately kind of being at a position where you'll be able to slightly outrace that right elevator, so you could even be faster than that first cycle. Realistically, maybe saving you half to a second up until like 1 second, maybe. But it's very scary. We've recently seen like the best runners drop runs to it. Like Go Yuya, for example, Japanese runner, very skilled, dropped like an insane pace, like the best pace I've ever seen to this specific trick. Like he wanted to save half a second and dropped like the best run I've ever seen. Or one of the best, at least.
That's speedrun.
Kind of pushes people to go crazy, yeah, for sure.
What do you mean? We're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, true. It basically, yeah, you can basically fall asleep. It's basically all about falling asleep and pressing the exact same buttons every time.
I don't get it. How can people just do the same thing over and over again, man?
I have no idea. It must be incredibly boring.
Yeah. No, I love speedrunning. Just on the topic of speedrunning, it's all about like the self-improvement, obviously. A game like this, where the community is so awesome, it's so easy to get involved. But it looks like nothing. Yeah, Dark Metro is just about the same as it always was, huh? I doubt too many people drop Wiggler these days.
Yeah, it's rare. It still happens, and even in this league where we see pretty much the best players. But people have been figuring out how to position themselves. Like Chaos looking to get a very good Wiggler here, really reacting to all of the shots in time. Gonna be very happy about this one. Talking about boring stuff, that this actually is boring. I have no idea why Nintendo thought it's nice to have the Wiggler like go on 3 times in the arena here, literally not causing any threat. This is like a 40-second section where you like look at walls. Probably one of the the least intense sections in the run now.
I think, if the sun's not out, it has to be an auto scroller, right?
That Dark might actually be true.
And
Ruined is kind of dark, I guess, and it's also kind of an auto scroller. It's bad, but
actually getting a really good pattern as well. Ooh, may have to chase that one down.
Not gonna be able to snipe it early, but yeah, still fine in time. Actually, yeah, if he dropped that, if he got that shot early on, he would have been more happy. But this is also going to show us like a comparison here, how much time you can still lose on a 2 cycle. Obviously, you want to get that 2 cycle, but you can probably lose 5 seconds between a very good and a 2 cycle that was barely even gotten. Yeah. So Chaos definitely saving time there.
Now, the Metro is one of those areas that it feels like so big. If we're gonna find, I always felt like if we're gonna find huge time differences or saves, it would always be in Metro, just because we get 20 moons here, right? How many moons are there total in Metro that we can even get? So,
that's exactly the point. It seems so interesting and so huge, and there might be so many options, but actually there isn't. Like there might be some hidden route that we haven't thought about yet, but at this point we pretty much know like many different approaches for routes and know how fast these moons would kind of be if you get them. And there's very little fast moons in the first visit of Metro, so we're actually incredibly there's not many options. Like what we do right now, we know there's a little bit of a quicker route going into that sub room where Chaos was facing right now, bullet building, and then perform some incredible hard movement that nobody is really capable of doing consistently in runs right now. But this route right now seems pretty solid, even though we talk to the musicians here, then there's like a big cutscene, like a warp, and we talk to Pauline, but not many options. Like all the moons that are still around after the ones we get are like the very awful sub rooms, like the shard sub rooms, node sub rooms, or maybe stuff like slots. Yeah. So not really much stuff we could do.
And it looks like there's already been quite a few optimizations. I remember the majority of the Metro route, or for the longest time, it was we would warp after this moon right here.
True.
But yeah.
And this is we still got the boy. This was actually
I was gonna come back and it was gonna be gone.
Yeah. Yeah, this no musician route was actually, I think, pointed out by Tuval as we were finding the like bullet building route, which is still faster, but not optimal to do. But Tuval pointed out that wait, we could actually just roll here and talk to Pauline and then like warp out of the sub room, the last sub room, the crowded room, and that ended up saving around 2 seconds. Ooh, Chaos will not get a triple here, but is still going to be able to delay his jumps fine enough to make it over. Instant dive here, has the confidence to go for that. This run is still, by the way, very good. Even like mistakes in sand were pretty much the only thing. Like this is a run where he would probably technically with very solid stuff still be able to get like a 1:00 time. So Nothing to laugh about right now. Very good.
Now I see the small camera optimization there while climbing that, getting that moon to load. Because one thing that you may not notice, because we do a lot of camera manipulation, is that stuff's not there unless it's on screen, especially when it comes to the moon. So.
And this is still getting abused this day. Still new stuff getting found that abuses that kind of I guess that rule of the game.
Yeah.
So recently we've seen, like, I think yesterday we've seen Circle, who's pretty much one of the he's the biggest glitch hunter in the game and the biggest successful glitch finder. Find like a glitch where you kind of get a chain jump out of camera, out of sight when he's like dizzy. So another chain jump will be able to push him, and then suddenly we see flying chain jumps in Cascade. Not sure if anybody has seen these clips yet, but still abusing that camera as much as we can.
So I mean, as we just keep optimizing this game more, those are I think the cool things, like those.
Oh god, that was rough, dude. It was so close to. He got a spin throw instead of like a normal. I think he was going for that spin pound, and now he needs to warp back up to get that moon. That was so close to. He was barely able to get on top of that building. Wow, Chaos will still get a 30 exit here. And Metro, you still look towards that sub 30. Very good time for his wooded exit.
Well, it's kind of unfortunate there, but it's also fortunate that he had that checkpoint. Technically, we don't need that anymore, right? Do we warp up there? Do you guys still warp up there?
Oh, we do, yeah. Obviously, to get to the trash moon, but that was still a nice spot for him to re-grab that pool moon, because it's obviously so fast. There wouldn't have been any good replacement moon that he could have gotten afterwards. Like, what could he have even gotten? Probably like the T-Rex moon or something, losing him like 30 seconds. But that's definitely the way to go, what he did there. Well, Chaos already headed to Snow, and we pointed out earlier that both of them did look very healthy as far as their coins are concerned. You still need to buy a moon in Snow. Chaos with 130 won't have any issues. You can technically die like 3 times and still be able to afford the moon. Fur also at 114, so we will see double Snow visits here. But yeah, Chaos was able to leave Metro at around like just after 30 seconds. It looks like Fur will get like a 31-20. So Chaos at this point in time is able to accumulate a 1 minute and like 22-second lead just off of. I mean, Fur had some rough mistakes, but for the rest of the time, it's pretty much Chaos just playing very, very, very good so far. And is going to be looking to keep that pace going, as I immediately cast a spell on him, causing him to bonk.
How could you, Lim?
I mean, that's kind of what I'm here for, making stuff more exciting, not only from like a experience of the race standpoint, but like literally manipulating the race right here, causing him to drop the wall jump on the bridge.
I see some things never change.
Nope.
That bridge is still there.
I still don't understand why sometimes Mario likes to wall kick down instead of actually just wall jumping off of it. But I guess the game is not ready for you to be so quick. Well, Chaos is actually going to be going for another moon clip here, and looks like he was maybe able to get it and get like a spin throw or something to clip back out, but it might have been close. You can actually like moon clip there to be able to get to that loading zone without going all the way around, but it doesn't save much. Looks like it would save more, maybe saves like a second.
So we're back into Blowy Joey room. Still looks about the same. Ooh, had to spend a little bit more time in the air there than he probably wanted to. As now, Fur is talking to Toad.
Yeah, house is broken. People still don't care. Nerf. I know we tried everything we could to kind of save the Toads back in the day, because this is like the best save the animals you can go for, because you actually don't lose time. You just need to be like a little bit more optimal, and then you can have Toad's house basically still be working. But people still don't care. They just destroy the house.
It's like they hate Toad or something.
I don't know. This is the one
free moon.
This is the one opportunity to save the Toads and the frames, but oh wow, for actually going for a very tight wall jump up, they're not even having to deal with any wall jumps up the bridge, so it kind of gets that problem out of the way. He found the way for sure, yeah. And as far as I know, this is actually also the fastest way at getting up there. So gets that to work. Chaos' Goomba not really following him. Still able to get to that switch pretty quickly. But so far the snow hasn't been too great. Mistakes at the very start. Will probably look to finish this off with a first try Snowdram. That would be optimal for him, because obviously losing any attempts will cause you to drop quite a big amount of time.
Still very terrifying, I'm sure. But I'm sure a lot of people a lot more consistent to that. That being one of the tricks that was definitely on the rise as I kind of was putting the game down. Definitely something I've never really even attempted. So, are we still doing it with the first-person camera lineup, or have they found a faster way to do Snowdram now?
Yeah, I mean, it is possible to not use any setup at all. Basically, maybe we know. Basically, the only reason we do that camera setup is because it makes it easier for us. But it is possible to get that jump without it. The thing is, most of the time, we actually see people care more about Mario's position in a way that all they need to do is quickly tap the first person, kind of auto align. And we see here for Chaos basically not even looking anywhere, just using it to kind of align himself and will get that jump here. And this is at a point in time where I think that people might eventually go for no setup at all because they've been kind of improving their movement. They're utilizing the vector mechanic through every single jump. You can actually get, I will drop that triple, but hopefully able to back this up with a long jump. But at this point in time, people use this vectoring on like every single input. Like they vector even the rainbow spin at the end to gain maximum distance. And once this is fully optimized, people might not even know the setup anymore because they can have like a bad setup but still make their way over there off of better jumping.
That's nuts. Thanks for giving us a little bit of a heart attack there, but almost on the way out.
Yeah, that would have been very unfortunate for him taking that in that room. And he will also, by the moon now, get his way over to C side as he spends some coins here. So we will be looking at that, but then we will see some pretty major changes in the C side route that you might have not seen yet. Pretty much,
no way.
It's the newest discovery that we actually use in the speedrun, which saves. It's definitely the easiest time save we found. I can't remember since when. Like, it's probably the easiest time save we found, like, ever.
Yeah,
and you'll see what I'm talking about in a second here. As far tries to go for Snowdram here, will get a pretty nice vector over. Looks like he has nice distance, but actually being a little bit too far to the left, not able to get Snowdram first try. Hopefully being able to at least get it on a second attempt, because right now Chaos is running away with the lead, maybe actually maximizing his point gain.
Taking a little bit of extra time to make sure he lines it up. Good. All right.
We'll get it on this attempt, but certainly not happy about this one. Chaos is still building his lead here, still getting extra points from the 20-point pool, but now no nodes to be seen. Chaos is going to be rolling over here, using a triple jump to get close to the cheap, not doing any nodes at all. So it was always theorized that the node zone is actually quite slow. I'm actually not going to give away to you what he's going to be doing later on, because I kind of want to see your reaction, and then I'll explain.
There's only so many moons you can get before like cutscenes, so I'm trying to like picture.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, like all right, I guess we'll see. There's only one I can think of, but there's no way it's faster. The one that I'm thinking of.
Okay. We'll see how Chaos is going to be approaching this one. Obviously now using the fish movement here to get these quick underwater moons. They've always been known to be fast, and the reason this route change is faster is because Nodes has been such a slow moon. It has kind of connected the quick moons at the coast to the underwater moons. This is why we got it previously, and obviously also using this flower rocket refresh, kind of speeding up the moon. But it still had like two cutscenes. One is activating the nodes, one is spawning the moon once you successfully did nodes. But now Chaos is actually going to be going over here using that cheap swimming on that boundary, and if he goes far away now, he will be able to clip here, causing him to drop the moon that we previously gotten last. Right here, he needs to be careful. I hope he didn't clip in this. Oh my god, that was so close. He almost clipped in, but now he will be able to access the actual swings loading zone here without even answering any questions. We'll get that moon and then warp after that.
That's so fast.
Yeah, definitely super quick moon.
Yeah, you don't even have to touch the ground again to warp out.
Yep. Very nice. At this point in time, it's pretty much safe to say that this saves around 5 seconds over getting nodes for most runners, because nobody really went for these crazy refresh strats for. Nice down throw here. Actually, not really any fast. I have been comparing down throw versus normal throw here. But yeah, Chaos actually very scary, and that's the one thing that can cause you trouble on this route, because the clip is actually super easy. I'll explain how the clip works as far goes for this. But the one thing that can still happen is that you clip back into bounds when you get the moon in the tunnel, and when that happens, you're kind of trapped in the tunnel, and your only backup is to kind of swim out of the tunnel and then actually like answer the questions, which is obviously incredibly slow.
Yeah. Oof.
But yeah, so the way this clip works, once again, for anybody that hasn't seen that yet, is the game has this invisible force trying to push you back into trying to push you back in bounds when you get close to the boundaries of Seaside, close to the border there. And this force works on Cheap Cheeps, it also works on Mario. But it doesn't work on the state of the uncaptured Cheap Cheep. So we kind of drop the Cheap Cheep at the very border here, then move outside of that invisible boundary and then swim down, and then that force will actually push us through the boundaries and makes us clip here in this out of bounds section.
Yeah, it always seems like recapturing something kind of makes you drop collision for a few, like just kind of like how we abuse recapturing the. Help me out here. The Koopa for cheese.
Oh yeah, the Pan Bro.
Pan Bro, thank you.
That's one that we will see. That probably works. I guess similar because I guess you can say that, because in that case the turnip kind of pushes us through the wall, and in this case this invisible force pushes us through the wall there. And it's actually really incredibly easy to go for this clip. We were at a point in time where I'd say if you learn the run now and you want to look at a seaside route, you do this one, because this is arguably easier than fast nodes and it's way faster. All you need to do is drop the cheap move back a couple inches and then recapture, and you get the clip pretty much guaranteed.
It's awesome. That's fun. It looks a lot more fun than doing notes. Like,
oh yeah, so
incorporating glitches.
I always like nodes because optimally it's possible to refresh the rocket flow with like a 2-frame tight spin throw, which we've never really seen. Very rarely someone went for it kind of to show off, and when someone got it, it was always a hype moment. So this is kind of out. It is fair to say that on paper, like just on paper, looking at the numbers, doing nodes like that with that frame tight refresh is actually pretty much exactly as fast as the rumble room. So in like these theoretical sheets, we might actually see nodes still be in the route, and instead people would skip the pipe room, because that's almost as slow as nodes like that. But for real-time attempts, it is definitely the way to go to skip nodes, because you get rid of that spin throw and save time in a very, very comfy, easy way.
Comfy, that's important. Like my speedruns to be comfy, Lim.
Yeah, and then again I say that, but it's still incredibly intense throughout the run. Now at this point in time, there's like a big glitch in like every kingdom.
Is Chaos so fast that he doesn't even need camera manip there?
It's exactly that's exactly the way. And that is faster than using the camera manipulation there. So he basically makes that cycle without any manipulation, camera manipless, basically.
Oh, manipless. Yeah, that's not something you gotta say every day.
True. Usually using that to make your life easier, but it still does here, by the way. It's just faster to not go over it and get the cycle out really far. Taking some damage here. Quick dip into the magma. Will cause him to get a damage refill here. And we are actually at a point where damage refills are such a big deal. We always point them out in races, we always point them out in attempts. But at the point in time where people go for incredibly hard tricks to save 2 seconds or 1 second, a damage refill actually is such a big deal. Like, it's so demoralizing. Yeah, you have to work so hard for these 2 seconds, and making damage once will immediately lose you that amount of time. Very good turnip clip from Chaos. Very quick, nice throw, nice position for the Pan Bro. Which is in fact the name of this capture, I think. I don't know, Nintendo likes to give captures weird names officially. It might not be Pan Bro, but I'm assuming it is. For example, as we know, Blowy Joey is called Typhoos, which some people like. I personally still the favorite of the Blowy Joey name that you guys came up with back in the day.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah, I will always think of them as Blowy Joeys.
Yeah, I think this has been pretty much adapted as like the official name. You barely see anything else. Just like people call the ogres just ogres and not like Stairface Ogre, which is apparently
ogre.
The official name.
The first time I ever heard you call them that, I was like, "Excuse me?" I felt like you were being offensive or something, but no, that's what they're actually called.
That's their idea of naming things. But Chaos, very solid luncheon. Actually, pointing that out right now. That ending section super quick. He's gonna be thrilled about this one because obviously things have been looking very good recently. Other than pretty much the start of Snow, we haven't really seen any mistakes again. So I'm thinking a 1:00 is definitely probably not possible at this point anymore, but still potentially looking at a low 1:01 time if he's able to close this one out. And Fur needs to stay in there if he wants to maximize his personal point gain, which all things considered, this is not even over yet. And we've actually seen Chaos win a race that he surely should have lost off of little curbs.
Ooh.
Oh, not able to keep that speed with the turn. Off of little curbs actually getting invisible walled in the pillar room, and he ended up dying on literally the last jump. Yeah, with like a 1 minute and 40-second lead and lost all of it. Really rough to commentate that one. And yeah, so saying that, and it has happened in this league, pretty much featuring the best runners in this game, it's still possible to see something like that.
Tragic. Now, we're off to Ruins. Has anybody figured anything out here? Lim? Has anybody tested my jump through the hoops theory yet?
The jump through the hoops, maybe you bring that up again?
Yeah, maybe.
Let me know, because Ruin is always a nice segment to kind of run through some theories, run through some ideas. What is that jump through the hoops theory?
You know the dragon, he shoots hula hoops at you. Oh, Fur gets the recovery. Okay, I was gonna talk about that moon earlier, but I got distracted with hula hoops, and he goes low again. What's his health at right now? Can he make this? Yeah.
But this is a very nice backup that actually works consistently. You can kind of run up the slope once you are in the lava, so he will not even deal with the damage refill because this is a multi-mode. He will just deal with that little dip.
You know, that's one thing. You know, runners, like, they may impress you with like their extremely good tricks, but it's nice to see in a race how somebody backs something up. Like the knowledge that Fur had, like, oh well, when I'm taking damage I can run up this wall, is something that, you know, you just get. It's tacit knowledge, you know what I mean? It just comes with practice. So.
Okay, let's go back to that hoop theory now. That's what I'm really interested about, as both of these runners are going to be headed into Ruins.
You know, the dragon shoots hula hoops at you, and I've always wondered if somebody can jump through them without taking damage, what would happen? No one's ever done it. So.
Oh, do you think you would get rewarded by like the dragon just being impressed and leaping?
Yeah, you know, maybe we'd find the first, you know, ruin skip. No one's ever tried to impress the dragon. We're always trying to kill him.
True. And the thing is, this, while being so kind of unfortunate because it's such a long auto-scroller, unfortunate obviously just in case if you look at the end result, it's kind of good that it doesn't exist, because this game is set up in like the best way possible to make this sub 1 hour time this amazing achievement, like this achievement where people literally worked now years for it, and we're still not quite there, but we all know at this point that it's possible with like a really good run, and it will eventually happen. It's kind of been amazing how things aligned to make that happen. Like even these big time saves,
just like a free 30 seconds somewhere, it would almost be heartbreaking, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like at this point in time, if someone found a skip here and it saved like 2 minutes, okay, I mean, I guess we got some hour now. Just got to do one run for chaos or something.
But then it would be 58. You know what I mean? It would become the new 58.
It would, but it wouldn't be the same. Like I know. It definitely wouldn't.
My heart would crack a little bit.
But looks like that's not the case, and every big quote-unquote discovery that gets found just kind of makes it easier and more feasible for us to get that big achievement, but not quite free and not quite super easy. So it's still the race who will get it first, who's actually gonna do it, and incredibly exciting to watch. And I'm pretty sure that even after this is not gonna be like 80% is not gonna be like dead, and it's not gonna be over with. Looking at like the theoretical numbers, what is possible in this run, we know that it is technically possible to get like a low 59. It's technically possible to get 58 maybe if this game grows to incredible heights. Yeah. But first actually only at 1 HP at that second phase of the dragon. There's this little fuzzies that spawn there, making his life rough. Potentially is going to be able to avoid taking damage. He might just get 2 hearts, making it easier for him. He's able to dodge those rings, those hula hoops.
Ooh, gets it again.
damage, then it kind of gets rough because this phase is longer and he definitely needs to make his head throws work if he goes for this damage boost, and he will. Definitely not trying to die to this dragon here at the very end.
No, those little spinies that come out of the end. Okay, not worried. Not worried. No one's ever died of Ruin before. I've never accidentally choked like a minute lead in Ruin before.
It's impossible.
Yeah, never.
But yeah, for sure. Definitely still a kingdom that usually, that's actually kind of healthy for you. Most of the time goes a little bit less intense. Most of the time you will be at 2 HP, ground pounding the dragon there, kind of being safe, which causes you to kind of take a breather after a very intense luncheon to go over to Bowser's, which is also crazy, and then obviously into the end game being Bowser's and Moon in that case, with Mecha Brutal and then the entire Moon.
How far have we? Ooh, just as I mentioned it, how far have we optimized shards here? As looks like I dropped homing attack there from Chaos.
I guess there's two pretty big and hard strats that people do in shards. Actually, that are possible in shards. One of them is what people do, which is that dive back strat. The other one that actually saves a full second is not capturing the Pokio there, and instead being fast enough to kind of make the Pokio shoot the cannonball for you. So you can kind of actually squeeze like between the Pokio and the cannonball, that the Pokio kind of knocks the cannonball into that block for you, kind of
That's
cutting
nuts.
out the capture and recapture animation. And once again, a thing that I think has been found by Goyuya, but hasn't really been used. I think Goyuya might use it in runs. I've at least seen him practice it, but it's pretty rough on timing, and not really seen it. But this, though, is also something that back in the day people didn't really dream of going for, but now people do this with like a spin pound, able to get that capture warp here.
I think Bowser's is one of the things that I feel like we've always kind of known a faster way. Maybe not so much now, but when I was doing this game, we've always known like, oh, well, you could go this way. It's just extremely terrifying to do, so nobody does it kind of ordeal.
Yeah,
and then as we optimized it more, it's like, well, then we kind of have to start going for this because where else are we saving time?
For sure.
Ooh, it's Topper. Still, everybody makes Topper look easy. I remember practicing Topper forever. I think probably one of the bosses I spent the most time on.
Well, Chaos, one of the very few people that actually fights Topper first here, and ever since he kind of raised to the top, this discussion has been heating up of what is better, Harriet first or Topper first. There's obviously not a big difference, but Chaos very much fighting for that Topper first, which is technically the same speed. I'm personally a fan of Harriet first. It just feels better for me. It's been like the OG strat too. Like that's what people have been doing in the past. And kind of like seeing that. But both of them actually missing the shot. Oh, for getting it twice.
3 even. I've always been a Topper first, Lim. Always been a Topper first.
Wait, you have been?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've never resetted Harriet, but I've resetted Topper. I'll tell you that much. You know, get the bad one out of the way. Get out of there.
Well, whatever. I'm still gonna be Harriet first fan. It literally doesn't matter because
it doesn't.
You can technically at the very start, people could argue that if they fight Topper first and they know they have issues with it, they can get the checkpoint. But what are you even here for then, dude? Why are you here if you're expecting to make mistakes? Come on, dude. Just gotta go for that Harriet first. I want to see the confidence here.
It matters. So unfortunate bonk there from Free.
Not gonna be able to get that capture up first try. This looks like a good position. The one thing that is nice about this strat is if you mess up that dive, kind of fall down, Cappy is actually in a nice spot for you to save you, because it will be close to that wire. As you fall down, you can kind of shake in and at least avoid dying. But still a rough strat for sure, pretty tight on timing.
You make the climb up here. No, what about Mecha? What's new about Mecha? People still doing... This probably hasn't changed much. People still doing Goryu or...
That's the thing, and the one thing that has now become the standard. Like I do this every time now. Like I would refer to this as the easier and faster strat is the Harriet third hit. People hit Harriet third now, which is faster because that last hit gets sped up by a little bit. And in my opinion, it's easier because it has a fairly lenient setup if you are good at spin pounds. I'm just gonna explain it here again because this is something we don't really talk about much anymore because we have been seeing it for a while now, but I doubt everybody really fully understands how this works and why this is faster. Back in the day, we used to hit topper at the end and then kind of make our way over to the Harriet bubble on top. But the way things work now, we kind of hit Harriet immediately here, which is obviously very quick. You don't even have to drop down, and then set up on this line here, diving over towards top. And if you're fast enough at spin pounds, you will get that spin pound every time if you set up there, calling the target acquired, because you kind of like jump in like a missile, snapping out that spirit bubble. And Chaos will make that work, gets that nicely.
Still, everybody makes it look so easy, but it's probably still one of the biggest time losses to fall off at any given phase. Yeah.
The thing is, what I like quite about this one, and this is essentially important for races, not so important for like PB attempts, because falling off there will still pretty much kill any PB attempt at this point. But if you're not getting that last hit, it's actually not too bad. There's like 3 cannonballs that get shot, and then the bird immediately drops out. The mech isn't even running around the arena anymore, which he will actually do that if he is on, if you drop before. Well, Fur is able to save himself. Woo. Nicely done. That water is in a good position for you to kind of back that strat up with, and Fur reacts quick enough to do so.
As many unfortunate mistakes Fur is making, he's making a lot of amazing saves. So it's always
for sure. Nice that's actually very, very well to point out. So every point that he is getting here in this race, if he was to end up losing, because there's still the moon for Chaos to kind of traverse through, but every additional point that he's making will at the end be due to his ability to have backups, to have fast reactions, to avoid to damage control, basically.
Yeah, to mitigate, the time loss that he is bleeding. Oh, Moon.
Oh, Moon.
Why are we trying to ruin? We're probably going to the only and first wedding on the Moon, and our first idea is to run in there and ruin it, Lim.
I mean, it does make sense.
It does make sense to you?
It does make sense that we're ruining this wedding. It's literally Bowser trying to take away our crush, dude. You gotta.
Yeah, but it's everybody we know is there. And it's on the Moon, and we're in a tux.
So you see, the actual mistake here is not coming from us, the runner, or not even from Mario. The actual mistake is coming from Peach. Like, what, dude? You actually run through all kingdoms steadier, and after that, you could still have like an additional wedding on the Moon. But nah, dude, we're just leaving that place behind.
And then actually, she just goes on vacation again. Spoiler.
Yeah. What a! I'm not even gonna finish that point, but really, really ungrateful. The actions that Peach is doing at the end of the game, kind of not thanking Mario at all, really, just leaving the place and then immediately visiting all kingdoms alone. Kind of makes you question why you actually go on that journey. Well, Fur, after a slight mistake at the start, falling down at this climb, will still get a solid mech. Is still up there, but Chaos is actually close to that 3-minute lead as he enters the cathedral here. So if I was to make some mistakes in the Bowser fight, Chaos might be able to gain maximum points out of this one. But on the other end, there's still big time loss to potentially happen for Chaos in the 2D section, also in the Pillar Room. We've seen it before.
Gotcha. Now, is Chaos one of those players to know that he's ahead to take a risk, or is he just going to play the same? He's probably going to play the same game he always plays, right? Why would he not? There's not really even a lot of risks left to take on.
In what specifically? In like the escape section?
Yeah.
So actually recently there has been a Reddit thread. I've brought this up quite a few times here in the in this league. A speedrun fail kind of hit Reddit all. It was actually Smallland losing like a PB to V skip, falling there. And then having like a pretty awesome reaction to like being disappointed. And then we saw some interesting insight from these Reddit/all speedrun fanatics, these scientists that actually researched the run completely. And we got some interesting statements such as, I don't know why people even go for 2D skip. It literally has a 75% chance of failing, and it only saves half a second. So if you go for it while not being on world record pace, he doesn't understand you, basically. So that's his statement about the trick. So I don't even know why are people going for this one. Literally only 25% chance.
75%, yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, 25% chance of getting it. Only saves like a frame, actually.
Man, you know what? I'm not one to toot my own horn here, but I must be unbelievable because I don't think I've missed 2D skip in a hot minute.
What? Dude,
Yeah,
I don't want
to brag or anything. I think what are the chances? I must be some kind of magic man then.
Yeah, dude, gotta get that lottery ticket pretty quickly because these are some good odds for you. Well, we see
that
how
is a ridiculous comment though.
Yeah, it's actually way too fun. Oh, for roll boost into the moon snake, which actually this is called a moon snake, I've been hearing people say. So once again, Nintendo coming in, yeah, very clutch with these names. Definitely moon snake. Okay, Fur will only get one flower here. He was actually trying to get the second one, but Cappy decided to instead home against the rock. Thanks, Cappy.
Fun fact, how many people die if you lose a life in the 2D section?
Well,
it's like 4.
Chaos,
it's like
Chaos gets the odds 25%, making that work. Incredible, dude. There's pretty much no chance anymore that Fur can get it now. It would basically be impossible, right? Looking at the odds.
Statistically, yeah. I think if Fur gets it, we must be in some kind of universe that, is defined, not by normal stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll see if Chaos is at least going to be able to clutch out this pillar room, because we have seen that mistake from Curves, but actually Chaos is one of the people that brought up in the tutorial of his own to even mention that invisible wall, because we actually know why this happens.
Yeah.
The only reason this happens is if you either like claw or shoot a fireball as the last pillar is falling, kind of tricking the game into thinking the last pillar hasn't fallen yet, and it actually did fall, so the game is confused and you can like swipe in at the final block, but you actually can't go there. But these pillars...
If you were to hit right there, if you were to swing before it disappeared...
And Chaos showing off why he is definitely one to bring up a tutorial about pillars. He will still actually be able to get the best time in the league yet. This is going to be a high 100, very crazy pillar room from him there. This has been good for 100.50. I think this used to be a record at some point in time, and Chaos able to get the best time of the league yet, 100.50, making it very hard for Fur to gain many points. He will be happy about this one, like even with the mistakes in Sands, and I think another big one was in Snow at the start, but these are the two I'm looking at. The rest of this run, phenomenal.
It's gotta be pretty proud to put another hour, under, sub 1-1 under his belt. I'm sure he's got to have quite a few of those.
Yeah, for sure. One of the most consistent, and this is the Chaos that I pretty much expected to see in every single league match. Not maybe every single league match. That's very high expectations, but we know that Chaos can get these runs consistently, and it's not like unheard of. And if he keeps playing like that in the league, that's why I always consider him a very, very big favorite to take everything, or like take the #1 seed. But currently Stravas has been even more consistent. Might not have gotten times as low as this one, but the times that he has gotten were not far off. Like Chaos has had some rough races where he ended up missing Snowdrum, where he ended up missing Nutclip, and then everything added up for him to get like a 102, which is very uncommon. But getting at 100.50 here is going to be super happy about this one. And this is going to be kind of a race for Fur to still get some points. So right now he's set up in a way where he should be able to at least snag in a couple points still. Like 2, 3, 4, maybe depending on how well this player will get. Also gets to D-skip here. Once again, defying the odds, even going for the XD skip here for the fans, for the people.
Oh my goodness.
We'll get that.
Let's
one
not
too.
even factor in the XD skips.
Yeah, for sure. And now Fur is making his way over to that last wall here. To be able to get as many points as he still can. Obviously, Chaos making a big statement here with the 100.50. It looks like Fur will enter this pillar room here at 45. This is going to set him up in a way that he can probably still get 3 points if his pillar room works just fine. But I think this should be the maximum here. Obviously, Chaos with the best time in the league yet, making this quite hard. But very nice shots on that early pillar will cause that pillar to drop immediately. Chaos with good pillars, very good pillars on his own part. But let's see if Fur can match that, or maybe even outspeed that, because these pillars are looking very good. Oh yeah, against that pillar to fall super early. These last shots will be what still... oh, actually, early pillar didn't work. Wait, I'm so confused. It looked to me like it actually did fall, but I guess that shake was kind of lying to me. Not
the
really
camera in this
engaged.
final room is always terrible. I hate the camera in there.
Yeah, and it looks like that will still. Oh, that's actually going to be close. I think this is barely going to be a 4x. So in that case, he will be able to get an additional point out of this one. So it's going to be 2 for Fur and 58 for Chaos. And I think Chaos is already here, being able to give us some thoughts on this 58 point gain and on this race, which obviously ended up being the best time yet. And some mistakes in snow and sand, but how did that feel?
It was okay. I don't know. Like, I'm glad.
Come
like,
on,
I just hit
dude.
all the big tricks basically.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't.
Yeah, there wasn't any like glaring problem
Yeah.
with it.
I kept forgetting how to do things. Like at the start of Bowser's, I forgot how to do Ogre. It was weird, but I think that was just because I was meeting around in VC with the boys. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, you still gotta praise yourself a little bit. I think this has not only been the best time of the league, but also been definitely your most consistent race yet. Something that we've expected to see out of you, and I think this is a good statement. This is something to be at least a little bit proud of. Because I mean, you know how hard it is to like consistently perform in these races. But yeah, for coming in, still snagging an extra point at the very end there with Pretty Hot Pillars, actually missing that that last pillar. That actually kind of I didn't really see that coming. But yeah, let me know how this run went. What went well, what went not so well.
Well, a lot of things went not so well. Yeah. I know that.
Fair. What really hurt you?
Oh man, that thing that happened in Metro.
Yeah, that was a little ridiculous.
I messed up that before, but never that badly.
So was that like you tried to get a spin pound and then you got like a spin throw in the air?
I tried to spin pound on the top there, but I screwed it up.
And then you got like the spin throw, and it was like super close. We were like thinking, oh, maybe he can make it over. And it was like a pixel on the railing. I have no idea why Mario gets like no momentum off of diving, but that was obviously super unfortunate. Yeah. And I mean, there's these off days. I just brought up earlier that you were actually able to get a 101.30 on 1.2, which is actually a pretty crazy run. Like thinking that you, I mean, just imagining that you would have gotten all tricks on 1.0, this probably would have been like a better run than your PB, right? Like,
yeah, I think so. I think so.
That's ridiculous.
So, making people work for a record in that current category, because that is actually a pretty good run to run against, getting stuff like even a good cheese. But pretty awesome race. Still Chaos taking right now the best time in this league, 100.50, and there's not really many people that, unless they PB, are currently able to get a better one. We do have people in this race, in this league, obviously, that their PB is better than this time, but very hard time to compete against when you want to shoot for that best time. And Chaos is going to be happy about this point gain overall. But looks like we are done with this one. Both of them doing a good job, but the action is not over for the day. We are going to be having actually a race of the Battle for Bikini Bottom tournament coming up next between Tower TV and Pixelated Chaos. So Chaos is done now, but now we got Pixelated Chaos. Let's see how well he's let's see how well he's going to be able to do. And that's going to be very, very exciting. But no, thank you for running it back. Coming into any percent commentary, very fun still to this day, obviously. And thank you guys for doing.
It's always exciting.
Your race as well was a lot of fun to do. But obviously also thank you everybody for watching. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure to drop a follow if you're interested in seeing more and seeing the outcome of this entire league. And obviously stay tuned for some Battle for Bikini Bottom action. Signing out for now, and see you guys in the next one.